So a young boy is sitting on the front porch of this farmhouse, and he's sitting next to his grandfather. And the boy looks up at his grandfather and he goes, "Grandfather, sometimes I feel like sometimes I feel sad, yet there's another side of me that fights to feel happy. What do I do?" And the grandfather looked down at him and he said, "Let me tell you a story about two wolves." See, in all of us, there are two wolves, right? And one wolf is angry and full of resentment and sadness and despair and depression. And there's another one that is full of happiness and joy and love and kindness and compassion. And they're at battle with each other. And the little boy looks up at his grandfather and he goes, "Well, Grandpa, which one of them wins?" And the grandfather looked down and with wisdom of years and years said to his young grandson, "The one that you feed will win the battle." See, so much of this recovery, of this getting back up, is about you making the conscious decision of pouring in the good stuff. See, step 8 is about pouring in the good stuff, intentionally pouring in the good stuff. See, when you have rough times or you hit rock bottom and you're working to get back up, you don't have the luxury of pouring in negativity. You may not be able to do things that you did when you were in peak state, right? You may choose not to read the news every morning before you start the day and hear about all the terrible things that are happening in the world. See, I want you to pour in the good stuff. And yet, here's I think the biggest key underneath this is I want you to build a first aid kit, right? See, you don't buy a first aid kit when you need it in the moment, correct? You buy a first aid kit and you put it in your home way before you need it so it's ready. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to pre-plan for rough times. So in other words, if something rough happens, if I hit a rough patch, if I'm struggling with anger or depression or frustrated or how the heck do I get back up? I have a first aid kit. I have a pre-planned list of things that I'm going to do to get back up, to get my emotional state, to get my head in the right place. There's really 5 different areas that you need to pre-plan for. And it's your mind. What's my strategy to take care of my mind, my body, my time, my relationships? You know, my business. How am I going to pre-plan that if I hit rough times, what am I going to do to take care of those 5 critical areas of your life? So let's dive into what we're going to do in each one of those categories. Let's start with your mind, because isn't that where it all starts? In your mind, there's several things that I want you to do. The first is you wrote down those I am statements. Have those I am statements that you can read. I am resourceful, I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm kind. Have those ready to go to remind yourself who you really are. Another one is being aware of the conversations in your mind, right? Choose awareness. Choose to go from beating yourself up to loving yourself. Have a plan if you can do it. We already talked about the 4 questions you can do to go through that process. Another one for your mind is how am I processing each week? You know, one of the things that I love and I teach my clients to do is wrap up your week in a really powerful way. Go ask yourself some great questions so that you're taking care of your mind throughout the week. What worked this week and what didn't work? Reflect upon the week. Ask yourself, during this week, is there anything that I should stop doing? Is there anything that I should start doing? Ask yourself, where's my focus? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. So ask yourself, where am I focusing? One of the most powerful things you can do, especially in a state of a little bit of turmoil, is force yourself to meditate. And for me, it sounds funny, yet sometimes I have to force myself to take a moment and just meditate for 10 minutes. And I remember years ago, one of my coaches told me to start meditating. And I went, "What do you want me to do? What do you want me to think about? What do you want me to listen to?" And I kept asking him all these questions. He said, "Wayne, I just want you to shut up for 10 minutes and not do anything." So one of the things that I've begun to do in my own world, if I get anxious or if I'm feeling, worried about things or start feeling depressed, one of the things that I began to and I say force because it wasn't easy for me. One of the things I began to force myself to do is just stop, take a moment, sometimes just lay on the floor and meditate for 10 minutes, which for me sometimes just means I just shut up. I don't think about anything. I just take a moment to just have peace. In this world of chaos, right? Our phones are dinging, the music's going, we've always got something going on. It's amazing how incredible just a couple moments of silence can really be. Take care of your mind. Allow your mind to have moments where there's just nothing going on. And I think another thing is asking yourself to take care of your mind. Another thing is asking yourself, what can I declutter? What are some of the things that are in my mind that I can get rid of? I tell my clients often to do a mind dump. And a mind dump is where you just sit down with a blank piece of paper and you write out all the things in your mind that you need to do, right? Everything from, change the oil to check on this to whatever it is. Just take half an hour and get all that stuff out of your mind and onto paper. Free up some mind space. One of the things that we had doing, your mind is kind of like a computer, right? If you've got way too many windows open, your computer will shut down. Your mind is kind of the same way. If you got too many things on your mind, too many things going on, it'll cause you to just get stuck. So have some strategies to get that stuff out of your mind on paper so then you can process them. In this first aid kit in your mind, get clear on the books you're gonna read, like Who Moved by Jesus. Get clear on, maybe for you it's reading scriptures or quotes that re-inspire you and keep you focused. One of the things that I've done is I've got different quotes that are on the wall around me in my office oftentimes that remind me to get back to center, to remind me to focus on the most important things that are going on in my life. Another thing I'm gonna ask you to do to take care of your mind is begin to track the wins. One of the things I do is I use a journal called the Best Self Journal. And one of the things I love in that journal is every morning it asks me to do two things. Write down what I'm grateful for, and then write down some of my wins from the last couple of days. Gratitude and fear can't live in the same place. So be intentional about what am I going to read? What are the questions I'm going to ask myself? What am I going to not allow in my world? What are the quotes that I'm going to dive into? What are the books I'm going to read? And then track those wins and give gratitude. This next area is pre-planning your first aid kit for how you'll take care of your business. Unfortunately, when tough times arise, most of us don't have the luxury of not taking care of our business. We don't have the luxury of taking 3 months off to deal with tough times, right? You've got to run your business while you're taking care of the tough times. You got to keep your business going while things are tough. You don't have the luxury of just doing one or the other. So here are a couple of key things that will help you stay motivated during tough times. A couple things will allow you to stay in the zone and get the most important things done. The first thing to do is make sure you're clear on your vision. Make sure you're clear on what the most important things are, right? Where are you going? And then from that big vision, break that down to what's our goal for this year? And I know this is simple stuff, yet I'm gonna ask you to check, do I have clarity around this stuff? What's my big goal for the year? And then here's the key, breaking that big year goal, which is kind of huge, breaking that down to a 90-day goal. What's my 90-day target? And then from that 90-day target, here's where people struggle. From that 90-day target, break that down to what are the 2 things I need to do every day? What are the 2 most important things I need to do every day to guarantee I hit that 90-day target? See, oftentimes we have a clear year goal. We may have a clear 90-day goal, and yet most people are unclear on what they need to do, the most important things they need to do each day to make sure they're on track to hit that 90-day goal. Another thing to do around your business is this. It's to make sure you're planning your week, right? If you fail to plan your week, you're really planning to fail your week. Are you with me? So make sure Sunday night, and this is what I tell all my clients, Sunday night, sit down and go, what does my week going to look like? And what are the most important things I need to get done? Make sure they're in your schedule. A lot of times people, if they're in tough times, and I was talking to a guy about this a couple days ago, if you're in tough times and you're struggling, it may be hard to nail an entire day. So what I had him do was get clear on the most important things he needed to do in the morning and give himself permission that, hey, while I'm in this turbulent phase right now, if I just nail these several things in the morning, everything else is going to line up. So in your business, get clear on where you're going. Break it down to that 90-day goal, and then break that down even further to what are the 2 or 3 things I've got to do every single day to make sure I'm on track. That hey, if all heck breaks loose, at least I've got this stuff done. At least I'm on track. And then write down the 3 or 4 reasons why you're going to push through. The 2 or 3 reasons why you're not going to give up and why this is so critical to you. Next is your relationships. When you go through tough times, sometimes the people that suffer are the people that are closest to you, right? There's a quote that people that are hurting oftentimes hurt people, right? If we're in turmoil, if we're hurting, often we can hurt the people that are closest to us or pull into isolation and neglect some of those most important relationships. So especially in marriage relationship, right? Or a close partner relationship, you've got to pre-plan, how am I going to take care of this relationship? Here's what's underneath all all this. This stuff is how do I check myself before I wreck myself? What are the things I can do to take care of this before it gets weird, right? Great relationships don't happen overnight. They take work, right? They take effort. And one of the things I began to realize in my own business was how much time I spent getting better at my business. I would go to seminars. I would plan my week. I would practice scripts. I would do all these things to be incredible, to be epic in my business life. And yet it hit me one day and I go, how much time and effort and planning am I putting into my relationships? I spent hours getting ready for this one conversation with a client, yet I don't spend any time getting ready for this most important conversation with my spouse. I'm gonna ask you to remember, what was it like in the beginning of your relationship, right? In the beginning of our relationship, right, when we first start dating, we're kind of far away from each other, and the more we get to know each other, the closer and closer we get, to all of a sudden it's just bliss. We get married, everything's amazing, right? The eye-opening piece of this is, for some people in their relationships, that moment of marriage or whatever was the closest moment they have, because if you're not careful, what will begin to happen? You will begin to drift away. Right? And most people don't choose a relationship to end overnight, right? Or they go, I don't even know what happened in our marriage. It just ended. Well, we drift. Are you with me? We drift away if you're not intentional about this. This is how do I intentionally take care of my relationships so that things don't get so bad. I mean, one of the reasons you go and change the oil in your car is so that you don't have a big costly thing down the road, correct? So here are some of the things that you can do to take care of your relationship. First off, start dating again. When you were dating your spouse, you were playing all in. Are you with me? And you let a whole lot of things go, correct? If you came home and there were socks on the floor, that was not a big deal because they were the most amazing person in the world and everything was great. Yet later on, that stuff becomes a big deal. What I'm gonna ask you to do is think about, maybe I need to go date my spouse again. The second thing is set up a weekly check-in. A weekly check-in with your spouse, right? My wife and I, every Sunday night we sit down and I ask her some questions. I ask her 5 great questions every Sunday night. And I say, what was great this week? What was the thing this last week that made you the happiest? And then I ask her, what's one thing that I'm doing you want me to never stop doing? And then I ask her, what's one thing I'm doing that you would love for me to stop doing? The next question is, how are we doing? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are we? And if my wife says, we're a 7, I go, awesome. What would it take to, I don't go for a 10. I say, what would it take to move us up 1 or 2? What would it take for us to be an 8 or a 9? And then usually she'll give me a great answer. And then the last question I ask her that's significant to her is I say, what's the one thing I could do this week to best support you? What's the one thing I could do for you? See, that check-in is so critical. Right? It's amazing how many people drift apart and they're not even aware that they're drifting apart. So set up this stuff before you need it. The third thing that you can do around this is make sure your goals are in alignment. Make sure that you have some common goals. See, relationships are either about problems or they're about goals. Your relationship is probably focused on either all the problems or it's focused on where you're going. I think your business is probably the same way, yet it really shows up in our relationships. Are you focused on problems or are you focused on goals? You've got to be intentional about having common goals. Doesn't mean all your goals are the exact same, yet you're supporting each other in their goals and you know what they are. Do you know the goals of the people that are closest to you? Here's the next thing you can do to keep your relationship in a great state. One of the great books I read years ago was The 5 Love Languages. It talks about how every person receives love in a different way. Right? Some people it's physical touch, some people it's time, some people it's words of affirmation. Get that book, read it, and discover how the people in your life feel loved. See, my wife and I are very different. We feel loved in different ways. I'm words of affirmation and physical touch, and she's time and acts of service. So I've got to love her in the way that she feels loved. See, the golden rule was treat people how you want to be treated. The platinum rule is treat people how they want to be treated. So find out how the people in your life feel loved, how they experience love, and love them in that way. Another great tactic on how to keep your marriage tight that I heard from Tony Robbins years ago was he talks about, he said you should do some love flooding every once in a while, which means you just sit down with this person in your life, this important person, and just say, you know what? I'm just gonna tell you all the things I love about you. It's gonna feel weird, and I'm just gonna tell you, I love that you get up early in the morning. I love that you prepare for your day. I love that you smile when I walk in the door. I love how you are with your friends. Just pour gratitude, pour love upon them, and just share with them all the great things you love about them every once in a while. It's weird, awesome, go do it. We don't do this stuff enough, right? Write some notes, have some fun with this. Are you having fun in your relationship? So the last thing I want to say on this is just be intentional. Be intentional about how you're going to take care of your relationships in tough times. And you know what? Just start doing those now so that you can avoid some tough times moving forward. The next area is how are you going to take care of your body? Right? You've got one place to live and this is it. If you don't take care of this house, you are in trouble. How are you going to take care of your body? It's interesting that it's one of the things that people begin to not take care of when they go through tough times. You've got to take care of this. One of the things when people come to me and they go, I'm struggling with motivation, I'm struggling at work, one of the first things that a coach taught me years ago to ask was, how are you sleeping? How are you eating? And are you having any fun? See, if you're not taking care of your body, you're not going to feel great at work. Your energy is going to pull you back. You know, one of the great ways to struggle with depression, right, is to not take care of your body. When your body feels terrible, you begin to feel terrible. So it starts with this. It starts with your morning routine, right? It starts with, how do I get up in the morning? Am I excited about the morning? Am I planning my day? Get up, go for a walk. Right? The most important thing you do when you first wake up is drink a bunch of water, right? Hydrate this thing. Too many of us we're hitting coffee all day long, right? Hydrate this thing. It's amazing that when you begin to take care of your body, how every other area in your life gets better. So ask yourself, what am I eating? Am I putting good fuel in my body? Am I drinking enough water? Am I exercising my body? An object that's moving usually continues to move. Something at rest usually continues to stay at rest. Your body's the same way. Continue to move your body, right? Go exercise, go for a walk. One of the things that I tell my clients to do a lot of times is throughout your day, plan to take a little walk. Plan to go get some fresh air. So am I sleeping? Am I drinking enough water? Am I eating the right stuff? And am I moving my body throughout the day? You've got to take care of this thing. You've only got one body. The last area that you've got to pre-plan for how you're going to take care of it is your time. Your time is incredibly precious, and they're not making any more of it, correct? Time is kind of the enemy sometimes because it marches on no matter what you do. So I'm going to give you a couple tactics to handle your time at a really high level. The first one is understand that time management is BS. And what I mean by that is it's not about time management, it's about priority management. Making sure that the most important things show up first, that the most important things are in your day. Most people are busy, busy, busy. The question is, are you getting the most important things done? Do you know what they are? Those most important, huge rocks. There was a quote that a friend gave me, and he said, most often, the things that are the most important rarely scream the loudest. The reality is you run your day or your day runs you. So are you clear on the most important thing that gets done during that day, the things that are critical to get done? You know, I think it was Jim Rohn that says, a rocking horse moves all day long, yet it doesn't go anywhere. Are you clear on the most important things you need to get done so you can actually go somewhere? You know, when I'm talking to real estate agents, one of the most important things that they need to do every day is do their lead generation, do their active lead generation for new clients. So I say, imagine that every day you come into your office and you walk into your office, and in the corner, there's a little frog named Timmy. And Timmy represents your lead generation. And your one task for the day is to take care of Timmy. You gotta eat Timmy. You gotta take care of that frog. And yet, if you ignore it, here's what happens. Every hour you ignore the most important thing, your lead generation, if you're in real estate, Timmy doubles in size, right? You go get a cup of coffee, which in a real estate office takes about 4 hours. I don't know what happens, right? You go get a cup of coffee, you come back a little while later, and Timmy has doubled in size. Then you go, you know what? I think I'm gonna avoid it a little longer. You go to lunch, you come back after lunch. all of a sudden Timmy has quadrupled in size. Timmy has now changed his name to Doug. He's standing there, he's got 3 tattoos, and he's now looking you eyeball to eyeball. Isn't that what it feels like when we ignore the most important things? They get bigger and bigger and bigger. Then if I don't take care of that most important thing and I go home, I'm going home with guilt because I know I left freaking Doug in the office, right? You've got to take care of the most important things every single day. Now the cool thing is when I do take care of that, when I do the most important stuff, especially in the morning, I have a renewed sense of joy and confidence because I did the most important thing. Let me give you 2 more things on this time management piece. Remove distractions and do one thing at a time. There was a study done a couple years ago, and they said 24% of your workday is lost between distractions and switching back and forth between tasks. 24% of your day is wasted because you didn't do one focused thing at a time. That means for every week, you could literally take a day off and get the same amount of stuff done if you were focused. Oftentimes, it's just doing better at what you're doing, right? Implementing a new strategy to get more done in the same amount of time. The most successful people I know don't have any more time in the day than anybody else, yet they get more done because they've implemented successful strategies, right? They plan their day. They do the most important thing in the morning, right? And they have great energy because they're taking care of their body, right? They do the most important stuff. They have effective strategies to get it done. And then they're the ones that live big lives and are able to go home at the end of the day proud of who they are and proud of what they've accomplished. So to wrap this up, taking care of yourself to pre-plan for failure. See, you have a spare tire underneath your car just in case something happens. You have a first aid kit in your house just in case something happens. You have a hide key by your front door just in case you lock yourself out. I want you to go through these 5 areas: your time, your body, your relationships, right? Go through all 5 of these areas and pre-plan how you're gonna take care of these things, especially in tough times. And then I'm gonna ask you, take it even a step further and ask yourself, what are the things I need to begin doing now? What are the things I can begin doing now to check myself before I wreck myself? What are the things I can do to maintain my body now before it's too late? What are the things I can do to keep a consistently strong relationship now before we drift? See, if you're going bowling, when would you put, right? If you're going bowling with your child, right? You put the bumpers up before you throw the bowling ball, correct? You wouldn't throw the bowling ball and then freak out in the middle and go, where are the bumpers? You put the bumpers up before you throw the ball. These tactics, these things that we're talking about is just like putting bumpers up in your life. And they keep you from drifting too far away to one side or the other. They keep you from getting to a place where it's really, really hard to recover from, right? Put the bumpers up, write down these tactics. How are you going to take care of yourself before it's too late in all 5 of these categories? Do the work, write these down. All right, see you on Step 9.